What if I told you that every time new money is created, someone gets richer before you even know it exists? Not because they work harder, not because they're smarter, and not because they took greater risks. Imagine a game where the referee secretly hands extra chips to a few players before the first round begins. By the time everyone realizes what's happening, the winners are already far ahead. Now here's the disturbing part. That game isn't hypothetical. It's happening inside the financial system right now. Governments can create money. Central banks can expand the money supply. Banks can create credit. Yet despite trillions of new dollars appearing over the last few decades, millions of people are still struggling to get ahead. So if money can be created endlessly, why isn't everyone rich? Who gets the new money first? And could the answer explain why poverty still exists in one of the richest societies in history? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on a hidden mechanism that quietly transfers wealth. And once you see it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the government created another $1 trillion overnight. Not borrowed, not earned, created. Most people assume that if more money exists, everyone should become richer. After all, if money is the solution to financial problems, creating more of it should solve poverty forever. Yet somehow, despite decades of money creation, millions of Americans still struggle to pay rent, buy groceries, or save for retirement. That's the paradox nobody talks about. We are told poverty exists because resources are limited. We are told some people simply work harder than others. But what if part of the story is hidden inside the monetary system itself? Think about a classroom challenge. If a teacher suddenly gives extra points to only a few students before announcing the new grading system, those students gain an advantage before everyone else understands what's happening. The same principle applies to money. New money never enters society evenly. It always arrives somewhere first. Someone receives it before everyone else. Someone spends it before prices rise. Someone benefits before the rest of society feels the consequences. And that simple fact may explain why endless money creation doesn't eliminate poverty. In fact, it may help create new forms of it, because poverty isn't always the absence of money. Sometimes it's being last in line when the rules change. And if that's true, then the most important question isn't how much money is being created. The real question is who gets it first. When new money enters the economy, it doesn't fall from the sky into everyone's bank account. It travels through channels. Central banks create liquidity. Commercial banks receive access. Financial institutions gain lending power. Governments spend newly available funds. Large corporations borrow at favorable rates. By the time the average worker encounters that money, something important has already happened. Prices have started moving. Asset values have begun rising. Real estate becomes more expensive. Stocks climb higher. Wealth holders see their balance sheets expand. This phenomenon has been observed for centuries. Economists call it the cantillon effect. The idea is simple. Those who receive new money first can spend it before inflation spreads throughout the economy. Those who receive it later face higher prices without receiving the same advantages. Imagine being first in line at a store before prices double. You buy more with the same dollars. The person arriving last pays twice as much. Now stretch that concept across an entire economy. Suddenly, money creation looks less like a universal benefit and more like a race. a race most people don't even know they're running. This is where poverty becomes more complicated than income alone. Two families may earn similar wages, yet one owns appreciating assets while the other lives paycheck to paycheck. One benefits from rising asset prices. The other faces rising living costs. Over time, the gap widens, not necessarily because one family works harder, but because they occupy different positions in the flow of money. And once you understand that, poverty starts looking less like a personal failure and more like a structural challenge hidden in plain sight. This creates a strange contradiction. We live in one of the wealthiest societies in human history. Technology is advancing, productivity is rising, markets generate trillions of dollars. Yet financial insecurity remains everywhere. Why? Because wealth and money are not the same thing. Money is a claim on wealth. Wealth is the actual goods, services, land, businesses, skills, and resources that improve human life. Creating more money does not automatically create more houses. It does not instantly produce more food, energy, or productive businesses. Instead, it changes who can claim those resources first. That's why poverty persists even when money expands. Consider a 9th grade classroom challenge. If extra tokens are distributed to a small group before a game begins, those students gain advantages that compound over time. They can acquire more resources, influence outcomes, and secure opportunities unavailable to others. The challenge isn't merely the number of tokens in circulation, it's the timing and distribution. Society often focuses on visible poverty, while ignoring invisible mechanisms that influence wealth accumulation. Rising home prices enrich homeowners, but make ownership harder for newcomers. Expanding financial markets reward investors, but leave non-investors behind. Every cycle widens the distance between those connected to appreciating assets and those dependent solely on wages. This doesn't mean money creation is inherently evil. Economic crises sometimes require intervention. Liquidity can prevent collapses. Financial systems need flexibility, but understanding who benefits first reveals why simply creating more money cannot solve poverty. Because poverty isn't just about the quantity of money, it's about access, timing, ownership, and position within the system itself. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Most people spend their lives chasing more money without understanding how money moves. They focus on income while others focus on assets. They save dollars while others acquire businesses, real estate, and investments that tend to rise alongside monetary expansion. The wealthy often understand something that schools rarely teach. In a system where money can be created, ownership matters more than accumulation. Owning productive assets places you closer to the source of wealth creation. Merely holding currency may leave you exposed to its dilution. This doesn't mean poverty is inevitable. It means the challenge is larger than personal budgeting. The rules of the game influence outcomes just as much as individual effort. And once you see that, many mysteries begin making sense. Why do asset prices soar while wages lag behind? Why do economic booms often increase inequality? Why do some families build generational wealth, while others remain trapped despite working just as hard? The answers may lie not in how much money exists, but in how it enters the economy and who touches it first. Yet an even bigger question remains unanswered. If money itself isn't the ultimate source of wealth, then what is? And if the future brings digital currencies, programmable money, and unprecedented financial control, who will stand closest to the next wave of newly created wealth? In the next episode, we'll uncover the difference between money, wealth, and power, and why confusing those three concepts may be the most expensive mistake an entire generation can make. You'll understand why some people get richer no matter what happens to the economy, and why the biggest financial shift of the next decade may already be underway.